Okay, let's call the meeting to order and do roll call.
Peterson here.
Ant here.
Grosvenor here. Okay, let's say the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm not aware of any correspondence, and I don't see any citizens, so go on from there. Need approval for our minutes from January 16th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. And we need approval for the voucher list for February.
Move to approve.
Second.
Just have a question. Is this is a crazy error just because of the way I do things. The first page says U.S. Bank, but then there's all this little stuff. I don't think we buy that at U.S. Bank.
That would assume that would be our credit card that we
Okay.
have a credit card through U.S. Bank.
Okay. Thank you. Helps me out. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Report on the water system performance.
Okay, good evening, everyone. On 1/18/24, John Roberts handed in his resignation. John is proceeding to start up business on his own. Connor, on Driver's death, has been hired to fill a water and sewer tech position. Connor started on 2/12/24. Ryan Silke has transferred from the Department of Public Works to fill the last open sewer and water position. Ryan's first day will be 2/26/24. And we haven't had a full crew since about 2011.
Wow.
So it's a big happening.
And now the city doesn't have a full crew.
A fire hydrant was hit at 8151 South 27th Street. The water utility responded to a call from the Franklin Police Department. The police report was filed and the utility has submitted an invoice to the insurance company for reimbursement. A 12-inch water main break occurred on Sunday evening, 1/21/24 at 9640 South 60th Street. The utility repaired the break and had all affected businesses back in service for Monday morning work
Oh.
start.
Good.
Excellent.
Multiple water valve boxes have been repaired due to early frost exiting the roads. Members of the Franklin Sewer and Water Utility attended the Midwest Water and Sewer Expo at the Wisconsin Dells. Informal learning and educational credits were obtained. The construction started 2/19/24 on the water main project to connect the northern feed of water to the property where the new water tower is to be located on Lovins Lane. That's it. Any questions?
If I could add, speaking of the personnel issues, we are in the process of rewriting all of the job descriptions, and we are playing with the idea of having technicians, once they're hired, once they meet a certain level, albeit, at water certification and be here long and maybe some other criteria, would be an automatic bump into an operator one position. So that would, again, we're still playing with the idea. We haven't run it past personnel committee, but that would have we figured if all of our techs were to become an operator one, which probably isn't likely, because some have just been here quite a while and had the opportunity and chosen not to take advantage of that. But suppose all of them were, it would cost a total of $10,000-ish. So $5,000 for the water, $5,000 for the sewer. So just FYI, we're thinking along those lines. So unless you'd like to see that at a future meeting, I'll just keep you appraised in this kind of condition or this situation. But I think that's probably the direction we're headed. But we got a lot of approvals to go through on that. So.
Okay.
Smart.
We're going to drop down to a new business and discussion of water services and hydrants on private lands in the city of Franklin. And this gentleman dressed in white knows everything there is to know about this.
Let me
I
start.
appreciate your confidence.
Let me start this off. So I have written here a document that looks very close to a Common Council action item. And so what I want you to, I put a lot of information in here and looking for a recommendation on what to take forward to Common Council. So I don't know how closely you read it. I'm not going to go through it in detail. But once upon a time, like 2015, we were asked to take over the private hydrants and so forth around the facilities, if you will, the hydrants and water main services, at the request of the fire department. I guess we don't mind doing that, but it's come to my thought recently that, hey, we're taking on a huge liability for doing this, especially if they start going bad. We're being sued as we speak. I still just the memo doesn't go into details, but that was the Polish Center, where my opinion, their contractor paving their
You need to
parking.
be careful.
Oh, did you raise my opinion?
Matters in litigation.
Oh, okay. So it's Polish Center. I won't discuss any more on that.
Okay.
The other issue happens to be a situation happened just right across the street, the Aurora Health Clinic. They had a big water main blow up, shut them down for a long time, caused a lot of damage. And fortunately, it was a dedicated main when the building was originally built. Then when they expanded their building, they vacated the easement. And I think when they expand again, we vacated it for a second time, but this time we actually recorded it with the county to make sure. So it was like, whew, that wasn't on us. So it's just a huge liability, but I do understand the fire department's desire to take these over. So with that, the new fire chief, Jim Mayer.
For anyone who I haven't met, my name is Jim Mayer. I'm the fire chief that took over from Chief Remington on his retirement. He had kind of started this discussion before he left. And from the fire department perspective, and like Glenn said, I think we have a mutual respect for each other's side, and we each have a liability or a concern with running into problems. And from the fire perspective, ours is that we, obviously if we have a serious fire and we have a little bit of wind or we have people trapped, we're a very lean staffed fire department that we are really counting on those fire hydrants to function when we need them. We have had a couple examples in the past. One was at Northwestern Mutual when it was under construction. We had a vehicle fire in their parking garage. One of their private hydrants didn't open up and perform for us at that time. And the more serious one was at the Woods Complex at 3311 College. We had a fatal fire there, and we also had 4 firefighters that were injured. And again, a private hydrant, the first one that they went to use was rusted, couldn't get it open, didn't function. So, well, I definitely understand that the maintenance is not easy, and it requires a lot of people hours to maintain them. From the fire department perspective, we would highly recommend that the city continue to maintain. And I think the research that Glenn did was great. If you look at what our neighboring communities are doing, it looked like Muskego, West Dallas, Waukesha, and Oak Creek all are requiring dedication of private water laterals to the municipal water department. I think that kind of says it all there, that our neighbors are doing that already, probably recognizing the same thing. So that would, the other part of it is, as you are all are likely aware, the city does have an insurance services public protection classification, and water supply is a big part of it. 40% of our points come from the public water supply, and that classification affects all the property insurance in the city for both residential and commercial users. So our thought is that if we can't prove and verify that all the hydrants are being maintained and exercised, that could cost us some points when we get reclassified, which is about every 5 years.
And then to follow suit. So really, I'm just looking at the options. Again, I totally understand why we want it. I'm just saying, from a water utility standpoint, we have to treat ourselves like a separate utility, and someday this, in theory, could be sold off to a private, So, at that time, it's owning and maintaining these private hydrants does absolutely nothing for the water utility, although it's a great service to the city. So the recommendations I'm looking for, if you look on the options, third page.
Can you stop for
I'm
just
sorry,
a second?
Sure. Yep.
In 2015, we said we were going to do something.
Yes.
So the area businesses and whoever's in landlords that's involved in that acted upon that?
So what happened was we sent out letters to as many people as we could, and we got some responses. We didn't go out and say we're going to take it. That would be an eminent domain kind of issue that some people just didn't want us to own it. And so like example across the street, they went through twice to vacate the easement. They didn't want us to own the water main around their property. So I don't see where we can go in and demand that we take these over. We offered it to many people. We had about a dozen take us up on it, so we went through the effort to actually draw out easements and get them recorded at Common Council. So we picked up 12, 14 maybe. I don't remember the exact count. But now the current practice is when a new business comes in, we offer them the option. We give them all the benefits for donate to the city and the fact the city will come in, own, and maintain these. The downside for the developer is it costs them more time and money because they now have to submit a water main extension through the state, and then they pay for our inspector to stand out and watch a public main being installed. So I can't say all the developers are real happy about that. We've only had one that's fussed and said, no, our time frame's too quick. We don't have time for that. We're not going to do it. So everyone else has chosen to dedicate them to us.
So now the second question is for anybody who has private hydrant, can we not make it so that the hydrant is inspected and maintained by the city?
Well, that is one of the options I outlined in this report. We could start a certification where maybe once a year, every other year or something, we can pass an ordinance that says, you, who the owner of this, shall have someone certify that it is operable and, whatever we say. I can tell you that we have a similar program, and I mentioned in here for stormwater systems where all the homeowners who own stormwater pond, we're supposed to certify them. Do we even have 2/3? No. It's
Maybe a quarter send us inspection reports back, and we don't really have a good method to enforce anything right now. But
Well, that's the problem. It
this.
just seems to me that, if we're going to have hydrants in the municipality, we need to make sure that they work. What good is a hydrant if you go to turn the valve and nothing comes out? I mean, it seems to me they ought to be inspected just like they do all the water testing in every other hydrant in every residence.
So I would suggest that all these industries and all these companies have to be inspected by the fire department. So once a year or every other year?
It's at least once, and some are twice per year.
So that is a little bit more of a hammer. We could send the fire department in when they do their annual inspection saying, where is your certification? And if you don't have your certification, then you don't give them a passing grade.
Is there a fine you can give them for not having it?
What happens, Jim?
It would need to be, and I might turn to the accountant, it would probably have to be part of our local ordinance, I think, if it was a private hydrant, in order to be enforceable.
Yeah.
But kind of like the discussion earlier, the compliance of who's actually doing the work and are they doing a quality job other than just putting a coat of paint on it. Our fire inspectors give it a visual inspection, but they don't inspect it or exercise it, near as close to what Mike and his crew do. And people will try to pull the wool over our eyes on things. And, like I said, they may say that it's inspected and exercised, but they may just throw a coat of paint on it and not really be doing what they're supposed to do.
Do you suppose the folks who do the testing the sprinkler systems, do you think those same folks would be certified to be able to do this?
That would be likely. Yeah, that would be likely. Yeah.
So it'd have to not only just be inspected by somebody, but be inspected by a certified XYZ person.
Right.
Like an ACM Fire, like a vendor like that?
Correct.
That could do that as well, the outside?
Fire protection vendor. I think some of them could. Yeah.
some of
Because
that.
they do everything for the county. I don't know what they
Right.
do.
Well, we
How many hydrants are we talking about that are private?
don't want people jumping.
167.
Yeah, but
You know, putting in
Really?
hydrants on the
I asked,
road.
well, in 2015, it was 167.
yeah.
There actually may be more. We did some
That's a lot.
research today.
I guess I view it as two issues. What do we do from this point moving forward? And then what do we do about the private ones? So that I view it as two separate issues. In my mind, moving forward, I'm sorry developers might not like it, but I would require them all to be city and put in easements and be our responsibility. They might not like it. DNR can turn those around in a week. Tyler, you probably put in plans for a water main. I mean, DNR can turn those around pretty quick. That's not
usually
a
do, yeah.
it's not a high bar to pass. So you can get through that process pretty quick. I know they don't like us inspecting it, but that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
You know, we have to make sure that it meets our specifications and meets our requirements. I'm sure Mike doesn't want 5 different hydrants that he has to house parts for because it's impossible to keep that many parts on in stock for him. And you never know what you're going to get when you go out there. So to me, it's from this point forward, we should require that water services and appurtenances, whatever, AB, the requirement of property be dedicated to the city. That would be my recommendation for moving forward. As far as moving back, I do think that we should kind of put the onus on the fire departments, right, Chief, as part of their inspection, because I think that's where the easy hammer is, right? Because what happens if they don't pass their fire inspection?
And I would tend to, I think we're mostly, from the fire department, we're mostly looking at new developments.
Right.
And for the old ones, our inspectors definitely can take a look at the.
So for the private fire hydrants, could we, and Jesse, I guess I don't know if you can do this or not, but in the ordinance, could you outline what a proper hydrant
Inspection.
or maintenance is?
We can do that.
And, you know, could you say it has to be a minimum of X, Y, Z so that they know that they have to do these things in the ordinance so that when they're certifying something, they're certifying saying that we have operated the hydrant, we know that it works, we have.
Once again, Dan, we don't want people jumping our hydrants in the middle.
No,
of the-
I'm talking about the private. I'm talking about private.
That's what I'm talking about.
Is there?
But do we don't maintain private hydrants, do we?
Yeah, but if I get a contractor, 9 a.m. next to Strauss, opening up a hydrant and.
Well, you put that in the requirements, right? That they have to notify the utility and that they have to.
Well, that would be a good start. Yeah.
I mean, so that there's requirements for what they have to do for what proper maintenance is. That way, when the chief gets the certification for a hydrant, he knows that it's been done in accordance to what we would want,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And we'd have to. I don't know if you could put that in an ordinance or not, Jesse, or if that would be.
We'll look at it. My thought is, while some might say, legal non-conforming use, they've already been operating this way, et cetera. Answer, this is not a zoning ordinance, number one. This is public health,
Right.
safety, and
Right.
welfare.
Absolutely.
I would recommend putting some sort of enforcement measure in there too, some sort of citation if not completed, so that they are incentivized to make sure that they are doing their due diligence and
Right.
having them inspected. And if they aren't, we actually have a leg to stand on to enforce
Right.
it.
And I would
And
also.
would it be something that automatically, if they get a citation and they don't pay for it, it would get added to the tax rolls? Or does that have to be?
No,
spoken?
so
No,
if they
we don't add citations.
if they don't pay a citation or come into compliance, actually, if they don't come into compliance, then they would have to show up before the judge, and the judge would decide what to do with them.
The difficulty with taking them over is that they weren't inspected by us. They weren't put into our standards, and they're not our hydrants.
So you got that issue plus the fact. So if someone's digging in the road right away, we typically see that. Somebody sees it. Somebody alerts us. So business park, if someone's digging behind their building, no one's going to notice that. So they could scratch and nick, and it may look fine. They'll cover it back up, but 5 years later, that wears through. Like they scratch the coating, that wears through, and then boom, you got it exploding. So I would also recommend in B, if there are easements, which sounds like we're going to go that way, or your recommendation, I would go to BB.
That's what I have.
Change easement Yeah.
I agree.
So I do think we need to limit our liability to just the pipe itself and those kinds of purchases, not everything else.
And then I like CB allowing charging costs to the property owner. But I would add the caveat, I know that we have in the easements right now, it says we will at the
Right.
expense of the city be replaced in a substantially the same condition.
We'll have to. Yeah,
To me, I don't like that. I mean, if it's on private property and they're responsible for restoration, we just repair.
So there's not a lot we can do with current easements that are
I
out
know.
there. But easements going forward, I'd definitely like to basically put that in there. So how we're going to track that, I don't know yet. We got to figure that out. But so in the future, when we actually come and have to dig up and replace, and it costs us $10,000, we need a mechanism to charge the
But the restoration should be at their expense, not at our expense.
Right.
It's on private property, it's in a private easement.
Yeah.
Well,
I
a
mean-
good example is Northwestern Mutual. It's inside their parking garage.
Right,
We're not gonna go in there and knock out concrete.
right. I know.
And then the woods, that's Milwaukee's hydrants. So, you know, the two instances are.
Yep. So I would look at
A, B, B,
A,
B, C, B.
CB.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. That's the answer.
And I'll verify, but I believe that our city fire code does have reference to private hydrants already. I looked at a few different documents today. I believe it already has mentioned, so we may be able to just expand upon that section if it needs to be clarified for the
For
existing.
what they need to do.
For
Yeah,
the existing private hydrants.
I think that would help you guys too.
Yep, that's why I believe that it's in there. There's at least a basic description of the maintenance already in there.
Right.
In our code?
Yeah.
It's under the fire prevention code, I believe.
Glenn, for the CB, I don't know if you, but I require restoration by owner. And if you need a motion.
Including backfill.
If you need a motion, then that would be my motion.
Okay. I would like a recommendation, so that'd be a good motion. Should Leary and Gary agree?
Did you?
We have a motion, we need a second.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried.
AB, BB, CB, and then the CB add restoration by owner.
Right.
Okay.
All Bs.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
And the best part was it was mentioned by member DD.
Yeah, right.
We didn't quite get to Gigi.
Okay, item 6, unfinished business. Wholesale public water supply to Franklin 2024. The board may enter into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851E to deliberate upon information, claims, and provision of the potential provision of public water supply to the city of Franklin as related to the city of Franklin Municipal Water Utility and its customers in 2024 and beyond, and the potential negotiation of terms therein, to including but not limited to potential amendments to the amendment agreement for Oak Creek to provide water at wholesale to Franklin. Potential agreement terms with alternate public water supply sources, including but not limited to the city of Milwaukee, Milwaukee Water, and a financial analysis study of long-term water supply and for investing of public funds and governmental action in relation thereto for competitive and bargaining reasons, and to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act upon such matters as discussed therein as it deems appropriate. Is there a motion to do so?
I'll make a motion to move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we will make a motion to direct staff to proceed as discussed in closed session.
We need a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. The next item we have,
6B, very brief. We are under construction with the tower. We are under construction with the water main. And in fact, now it's just a normal project, and I will take this off your regular agenda unless you guys want to hear about it every month. So I told Will I don't think we need to see him anymore. We focus on trying to get the project done. So
Nice.
You broke up with them?
Good work.
I can't see him now.
I've got him working on a change order request right now. So I said work on that instead.
okay, then C, we're going to go into.
So for C, there's nothing to report unless you have questions or would want to go into closed session and talk about this issue.
No questions?
No questions.
Questions?
Okay. That's it.
Well, I guess we need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.